Hey guys, this is Abons here. I want to record a video to share with you the fusion plan I made for collecting all the fragments for Ishiyama the immovable. Overall, I'm not even sure I'm going for this guy, but I'm going to start collecting the fragments because, even if you're not going for a fusion, the events and tournaments that come up, it's just cost effective to put your energy towards achieving the milestone rewards there and collecting some fragments. Whether you end up collecting all the fragments and confuse this champion or just part of them, they can go to the High Mother mod chests. So I think it's just cost effective to keep chasing those events and tournaments. Not with any great force though, if you're not really intending to fuse this guy. I think his kit's kind of, crappy. I don't really like it. The fact that his passive allows you to not build any accuracy, but then only half the time you can reliably and irresistibly land debuffs. I don't know. It seems like kind of random and not very dependable. Seems like from content creators that have reviewed his damage, it's not that amazing damage. So I'm not sure what hard mode faction wars is gonna hold, and whether this guy will fill a gap for the Shadowkin. So it's a bit to be seen there. Also, I'm climbing in through Curse City, and if there's any HP spirit stages or HP based champion stages, this guy might come in handy, albeit I'm very fortunate to have a Taras, and so I've already got an HP based nuker. So unless they rule out void champions, I'm totally fine on HP based stages. Anyways, that's just me. Let me share with you the fusion plan. So here's the event calendar that's posted online, and they tend to kind of break it down into tournaments and events and the number of fragments that are available in each. And you can see that from tournaments there's 55, from events there's 55, and then there's kind of like tournament leaderboards. You can get a bonus of 20. That's across the champion training tournament and then the champion chase tournament. You got to kind of like come in first or second to claim any of those, so probably don't want to depend on that. Notably then, if you ignore the 20, it's really only like 110 fragments that are available, and you'll see that the Summer Rush is 15 and the Champion Chase is 15 without the bonus. And so that means that in order to complete this fusion, you'll need to summon in at least one of these, in both tournaments. And you could do like the first chunk of fragments in Summer Rush and then get the whole Champ Chase, or all of Summer Rush and only do a little Champ Chase. Champ Chase is likely going to be 2x voids, so keep an eye out there. And if you've been stockpiling voids, you'll probably want to pull them, and so you're probably going to think about how many void shards you have and whether you're going to top this eclipse the 15 frags mark. And if you are, then in the Summer Rush over here you might want to just target 5 fragments, let's say. So keep that in mind. So in terms of like energy efficiency and making sure that we're kind of like day by day, like targeting the right things, not to waste energy, I've created like a spreadsheet up here. So I've spliced tournaments and then events, and then into like dungeons, arena, champ training, champ chase for tournaments, and then events are champ training, dungeon divers, gear enhancement, and Summer Rush. And down here we've got extra events. Typically there's like the odd Sand Devil tournament, Deck of Fate, Hero's Path, something. So these are kind of placeholders here. But what we do know is here is a personal reward CBC. And then finally I've got some notes that kind of describes what to do. Maybe some of these are old notes or something passed on from another fusion, but we'll get there. So first of all, on Monday, which is kind of already past at the recording of this video, you don't want to do too much because CVC is happening the next day. So you just want to use passive regenerated energy and put that into champion training or dragon. Doesn't really matter which one, but I think for points efficiency for dungeon divers, you want to save dragon for Tuesday, Wednesday. And so you can maybe just passively train champions. Also because CVC's tomorrow, you don't want to kind of pour brews into champions, rank up champions, do any of that, because you might as well do that during dungeon divers. So just do some passive farming for champions with your energy and nothing more. Likewise, you want to save things like Iron Twins, Faction Wars, and stuff for CBC to start tomorrow. Okay, now when I kind of highlight things this way, it means go time, right? So this is like stay passive, do it a little bit if you got some extra energy, but don't pour things into it. And then this means pour things into it, the darker colors. So during CVC, we want to hit Dragon hard, Champion Training hard, and Dungeon Divers will kind of get completed by doing this. As well, we don't want to enhance any gear until the Wednesday. So the second day of Clan versus Clan, we want to pump all of our gear enhancement. So assuming we saved up enough silver to do it all on this day, that would be ideal. So do it there and don't do it on these days because we want to do it during CVC to capitalize on those points. After these 3 days here, we're going to go to Ice Golem, and it's kind of a lull. CVC's over. There's no dungeon. There's Dungeon Divers wrapping up here. So if you haven't completed it during CVC, then you can complete it with Ice Golem and then stay here. My plan is to just pump dungeons during CVC. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. And so therefore, this will be completed during CVC for me. So it's kind of like a dead zone. So basically, the idea is daily energy only, and just like figure out some Ice Golem approach, finish up Champion Training if anything's left over. On Friday, kind of similar thing. It's very a lull, right? Just daily energy for these Ice Golem, and that's it. Just Ice Golem. Engage with the Summer Rush in whatever way you think's best, and then get started on Classic Arena. Very easy to get the point totals there. Just use your arena tokens. Finally, we get Dungeon Divers 2 pop up on the Saturday, and so that's when we really want to crank Ice Golem. So, over the course of these 2 days, you don't want to really hit it much at all, just with daily energy. And then here's where you want to hit Ice Golem hard to get the Dungeon Divers. Once Ice Golem tournament's done, you're probably going to have a lot more Dungeon Divers to do. Spider's coming up on Monday, so that's when you want to pump Spider as well. Unfortunately, these are very concentrated days, just one day and one day to get as much of those tournaments done as possible, and that's pretty tricky. Spider's kind of spread over 2, this one and this one. So you can kind of split the energy there, but this Dungeon Diver is going to be pretty costly. You're going to have to spend energy outside of here and here, likely. Or over here, you're going to have to spend energy outside of Spider and Fire Knight to complete Dungeon Divers. You're going to have to go overkill. Me, Fire Knight's my favorite tournament, has my favorite gear, so I'm probably going to put more energy over here in the Fire Knight side, and therefore use Ice Golem and Spider for this Dungeon Divers. There's a big Champion Training block here. Any energy spent for Champion Training in campaign can be done alongside the Dungeon Divers. And then without the Dungeon Divers active, you can do some like brews and stuff like that in this time, but don't go big time into energy spending, just your daily energy during this time for both Spider and Champion Training. Yeah, and finally, and the gear enhancement can happen whenever. Champion Chase and Classic Arena is still same thing whenever. So that's kind of the plan. And if you do this, I think you're going to line up your days with CVC and with the Dungeon Divers, and it's going to go a lot more easy. Typically, for each of the dungeon tournaments, you're looking at, if you do like hard mode 10, you're looking at probably like, I don't know, is it a 1-to-1 ratio of like energy spent for points in terms of gathering artifacts? So if it is a 1-to-1 ratio, then we're thinking like, I don't know, it depends on the point total for the fragments, but anywhere from like 2250 to 2750 point or energy for each of these dungeons. And then Dungeon Diver point totals, I think, is like 3700 typically to get the fragments. And so if it is around that mark, I think we're looking at closer to 5000 energy. So really, you're thinking about like 2 of these covers 1 Dungeon Divers. There's only 4 of these, and there's 3 Dungeon Divers. So you're gonna have to go overboard somewhere, unless you can really patch it up with champ training and campaign. So I tend to, when there's more Dungeon Divers to do than there are dungeons, I tend to focus on campaign to kind of mop up the rest of the Dungeon Diver points. so that I'm really efficient in that way. Why just crank all your brews and have no brews left when you gotta do Dungeon Divers anyways? You might as well do Champ Training with energy. So yeah, that's my plan for the fusion. I hope that helps you. Yeah, I'm sitting at 3,400 gems. I've typically been staying around this mark for a long time now, up and down, pouring some into Minotaur or the odd tournament to kind of blast the top of the leaderboard. But yeah, just hovering around 3,000 to 3,500. I feel like that's a safe mark, such that if some sort of event comes up and requires a lot of energy for like a top reward, I can pour in this amount of gems to get it. It's kind of a fail safe. So I'm staying up here for a while, and then shards, I've just spent all my ancient shards on a champ. What was it? A champ chase tournament, and unfortunately I fell asleep and didn't get the big rock at the top, and I could have got third place. So I missed a legendary book, an immortal soul stone, legendary relentless gear, and an eternal soul stone, all because I missed the time period, and I would have just fused a few of these guys and I'd be done. But that's how it goes. Sleep is not really lined up well with this game. Rather sleep. So anyways, there's my ancient shards. I've got a stockpile of voids that can be used for that champ chase towards the end of the fusion. Typically just keep summoning on 2x voids. It's just so worthwhile to summon void shards and see if you get lucky, land a void champion. Albeit it is kind of very useful to try and save void shards for 15x to target certain champions, because the pool's so small, and Primal's is ready, Sacred's ready, so everything's pretty healthy. Anyways, good luck.